Have you ever wondered about the difference between wisdom and foolishness, and how these two contrasting traits can impact our lives? Today, we dive into a powerful narrative from the Bible known as the parable of the wise and foolish servants. In this parable, Jesus tells the story of a master who entrusts his wealth to 3 servants before going on a journey. To the first servant, he gives 5 talents, to the second servant, he gives 2 talents, and to the third servant, he gives 1 talent. Now, it's important to note that a talent was a unit of currency in biblical times, equivalent to a large sum of money. So, the master is entrusting a significant amount of wealth to each servant. The first servant, who received 5 talents, immediately puts the money to work and earns 5 more talents. The second servant, who received 2 talents, also puts the money to work and earns 2 more talents. However, the third servant, who received only 1 talent, decides to bury it in the ground for safekeeping. He does nothing to increase the value of the talent. After a long time, the master returns and asks the servants to give an account of what they have done with the talents. The first servant proudly presents the 10 talents he has earned. The master is pleased and commends the servant, saying, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The second servant also presents the 4 talents he has earned. Again, the master is pleased and commends the servant, saying the same words as before. But when it's the third servant's turn, he nervously approaches the master and says, "Master, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So, out of fear, I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here is what belongs to you." The master is not pleased with this servant's response. He calls him wicked and lazy and says, "You should have at least put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest." The master takes the talent from the third servant and gives it to the first servant who had earned 10 talents. And then, the master says, "For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them." This parable teaches us several important lessons about wisdom and foolishness. The first lesson is that wisdom is about using the resources and opportunities we are given to their fullest potential. The first 2 servants in the parable understood this and put their talents to work, resulting in an increase in wealth. They were wise in their actions and were rewarded for their faithfulness. On the other hand, the third servant was foolish. Instead of using the talent he was given, he buried it out of fear and did nothing to increase its value. The second lesson is that wisdom is about taking risks and stepping out of our comfort zones. The first 2 servants took a risk by investing the talents and were rewarded for their boldness. The third servant, however, played it safe and missed out on the opportunity for growth and reward. Lastly, this parable reminds us that wisdom is about being accountable for our actions and using our talents for the benefit of others. The first 2 servants were accountable and multiplied their talents, bringing joy to their master. The third servant, on the other hand, was not accountable and failed to use his talent for any productive purpose. In conclusion, the parable of the wise and foolish servants teaches us that wisdom is about using our resources wisely, taking risks, and being accountable for our actions. By doing so, we can experience growth, reward, and ultimately bring joy to our master. In the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verses 45 to 51, the story unfolds. There was a master who decided to go on a journey, leaving his servants in charge of his household. He appointed a faithful and wise servant to distribute food to the others at the proper time. However, the master took longer to return than expected. One servant, assuming his master's delay, began to act foolishly. He started eating and drinking excessively, mistreating the other servants. On the other hand, the wise servant continued to fulfill his duties diligently, maintaining order and discipline within the household. He was not swayed by the delay of the master and remained focused on his responsibilities. Suddenly, without warning, the master returned. He was pleased with the wise servant who had been faithfully performing his role. The master rewarded him by putting him in charge of all his possessions. However, the master was deeply disappointed with the foolish servant. The servant had not only neglected his duties but also caused chaos and discomfort in the household. As a result, he was severely punished by the master. This parable, as simple as it may sound, carries profound lessons for us. It highlights the importance of wisdom, faithfulness, and diligence. The wise servant represents those who are faithful, responsible, and prepared at all times, despite uncertainties and delays. On the contrary, the foolish servant symbolizes those who become complacent, neglect their duties, and misuse their freedom when not under immediate supervision. The parable teaches us to remain alert, responsible, and committed to our duties regardless of circumstances. It warns us against complacency, irresponsibility, and abuse of freedom. It's a call to be wise, to be prepared, to be faithful in all our responsibilities, knowing that our actions and decisions today have consequences. It's a reminder that wisdom is not just about knowledge, but about how we apply that knowledge in our lives. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where you have to make a choice, remember the parable of the wise and foolish servants. Choose wisdom. Choose responsibility. Choose faithfulness. If you found value in this video, show some love by hitting that like button. Share it with someone who might need this message today. Don't forget to subscribe to the Closer to God channel for more insightful content. Remember, wisdom is a choice, and every choice brings a consequence. Choose wisely. Until next time, stay blessed.